This
change,
call is being recorded.
so we worry a lot about this less necessary things. So in my class, if I look at the guys who didn't get the placements or in the top, they're not at the top at the time of graduation. Those are the guys who are actually now leading much better enterprises. They are earning a lot more in in the valley, in New York and those places. So we see these smaller battles as such a big thing, but the thing is, it's all about how you patiently build your innings. And so that's what that's the most important difference I see between the very smart guys and actually the people who really succeed. And so do not let like a single thing whether it could be a single exam or it could be a single placement interview, and all those things are really distract you from your bigger thing. So keep your attention on the bigger pursuit. The bigger pursuit you should be after is, how can I change something in the industry? How can I change something with the technology? How can I change the way people use technology, or how can I change the way people access a particular technology? So that should be your fundamental goal. So all these are gate, like whether you succeed or not succeed, it doesn't matter as much in the long term turn of things. So do not either be too excited or too down. The goal is do not let the intensity down. And that's again like what I see, people who prepare for IIT JEE too. So I again I guide a lot of IIT students who come out the top in the AAR rankings, top 10 and all those things. So again, the key trait that I see is the guys who come at the top and continue to have that intensity for the next few years. They go on to really change a lot of things. But then most do not have that intensity. Once they come to that get that ranking, they lose the intensity, and once you lose the intensity, you're out of the game. Yeah, the people who did not get the top ranking in the JEE, and then if they continue to maintain the same intensity that got them before the JEE, if they keep that intensity for the next 10-15 years, by the time they are in their 30s, they're already leaders in their game, leaders in their industry. I see my friends in a lot of places, Dropbox, Box, Twitter, Google. Those places, they are leading their organizations, and they didn't necessarily start at the top when they were in the school and when they were in the college. They actually maintain just like a Rahul Dravid kind of innings, consistently doing things and consistently building their innings. So that's what you guys, as you the gate aspirants and should look at. It's not we place too much emphasis on these one exam things and all. This exam is to prove how good you prepared for it. And if you are prepared well for it, doesn't matter whether you succeed or not, because it is that intellectual capacity that will eventually show up somewhere. And if you did not prepare that well, again it doesn't matter, because your intellectual capacity sooner or later will show up. So keep that in mind. So the exam is to show your intellectual capacity, but many exams we might not be able to show our intellectual capacity. But the thing is, if you are prepared well during the exams, then that will show show up someday or the other, in the future, as you keep building your innings, keep building your building your technology. It could be and then also uh, diversify when it comes to seeing programming. So some could not take up competitive programming, and again do not do not restrict yourself from trying out a lot, especially in your as you enter your early 20s. and experiment a lot. Like 20s is the time to experiment a lot with your career, and do a lot, like try, like competitive programming for 6 months, like in hacker rank or top coder. So I used to try a lot in the competitive programming during that time in ACM, ICPC, and so on. So it's a great way to, like improve speed and, like build, like look at problems in a different way and find out, like ingenious solutions to solve problems. So that is one kind of approach. And then in parallel also look at, spend some time on GitHub, try, like cloning a couple of projects, and then figure out if you can add significant value on top of existing ones. And so the main thing is keep your, technology skills constantly there. And if you are in CS, ideally try to program like 2 to 3 hours a day. That's something I advise students all the time. So keep programming 2 to 3 hours a day, and then if you are maintaining that intensity over 4 to 5 years of time, you are going to be getting there no matter what. So that's my brief talk for the day. So I'll just have questions, and let us go take it from there.
Yes, thanks, Balaji. That sounds very good. Okay, so I request anyone who has questions to type it in the chat window, and we will take up those questions. It was truly inspiring talk, Balaji, on how to hone your programming skills. So Hussein asked, what is your mantra to stay focused and dedicated towards your goal?
So staying focused, ideally pick up something that you really love. So when you really love something, you will, you'll be staying focused a lot more longer. When you pick up something that you really hate, no matter what you do, like you will be, your mind will be turning away from it. So to stay focused, first pick up something you really love. A lot of times we pick up something that we think we should like, not that we actually like. The main thing lies in picking up the right thing.
Awesome. So actually, along with us, there is Kiran, who is the founder of Gate Book. So Kiran has been mentoring students for Gate exam for last 10 years. He is also from IAC, and he is one of the mentors of our group. I just want to give a brief introduction. Hi, Kiran.
Hi, Arvind.
So, do you have any questions or thoughts for Balaji?
Yeah, so hi Balaji. So I'm a great fan of you.
Hi, Kiran.
So most of the time, I read Quora to, get some, knowledge from you. So I really admire that. So
Thank
I
you.
have one question for you. Like,
Sure.
so you have written, enormous information. So how much time typically, just, how much time typically you spend in writing in Quora? Like,
So it occurs in spurts. So on an average, like about 2 hours. But some days, like the previous 4 5 days, I spent like less than 1 hour. Some days,
oh,
especially, I travel a lot, like during, like waiting for flight and
okay.
so on. So that is the time I can do it a lot. Especially, I travel like at least 2 days a week. So that
Oh,
means like lot of hours there that I could use to write and think through stuff.
okay, okay.
So
Yeah.
there is one question on how to pursue artificial intelligence. I think Balaji, this is your cup of tea. You want to speak about that?
So like AI is a very very broad thing. So there are, like there is computer vision in there. There is like machine learning as a part of and then there is this whole, like big data part of it. Primarily finding patterns in a large data set. So that kind of finding patterns for business analytics on those things is there. Like speech recognition is there. And so there are, like dozens of variants of AI that are coming up. So yeah, I would see AI as, like a complete field, like as big as computer science itself. which part of AI will so that we have to be a bit more specific in that. But in general, this year is going to be this breakout year for AI. So for decades, people have been talking about it, and like I've been in that field for like 13, 14 years by now, and I see this year as a time where both the market is maturing as well as the technology is maturing. So we're coming to a point both of these are maturing and they are going to touch, and it's going to open up whole new fields, whole new companies, whole new markets this year. So I was just before this call, I was in a call with a guy who ran a DNA daily news analysis and all those big enterprises. So he was talking to me about how they are going to use AI in their in the journalism and so on. So it's amazing how many fields are being touched by it. So it's ultimately the difference between the regular CS and AI is in regular CS you give in the algorithm you are going to be controlling the program's flow. So you are going to be saying like what is going to happen after the previous instruction. So it's going quite deterministic. In general in AI we are going to be following sort of like non-deterministic flows, and that means letting the machine have its own control on the path. So that will part of it will depend on the previous patterns it has taken, and a part of it is about learning new patterns, and that means it's going to be a little bit more non-deterministic. So a AI system that is run twice may not always produce the same result. So there is this uncertainty that is also embedded in the AI algorithms itself. So that is one key difference from the traditional algorithms that we do and the algorithms that are related to AI. So it's a very very broad difference. But once you start looking at how the machine is going to learn new patterns, then variety of things emerge. So all these now computer vision, speech, and all those things are related to that. How do we learn new patterns? And so that is the core of it.
Awesome. And we would also like to know more about how you use AI at Invento and making your robot.
Cool. So there are a lot of ways in which we are approaching this problem, and so the first key thing is the computer vision part of it. So the goal for us is to get robots into offices and living rooms within a year, and so we are already putting our robots in a bunch of events, like top events like NASCOM, Electronics for You, and all in the next few weeks. The key element, part of our A is the computer vision element. With the computer vision, we want to our robot should be able to detect a face, so that is the easier problem. But more important, it should be able to recognize a face. So the first time it has to learn about you, and then the next time you come in, it has to recognize you. So let's say you walk into a hospital. So we are working with Novartis and a couple of top healthcare companies on this. So you walk into a hospital, we can use your face to identify your identify your customer record pretty much. Once we have your customer record, then we can pull up all your medical information, past medical information from it, and identify why you are here. Maybe you have booked a dentist appointment. Then if you have booked a dentist appointment, it can go and start asking you a bunch of questions. Did you have a tooth problem before, and all those things. Depending on your case history, it can ask questions, and then it can get back the responses. That's a second element where we are using. So where we will understanding the responses. So that is again requires a speech recognition component. The third element of this is it has to build a questionnaire based on your case, whether you're coming for a dentist, whether you're coming for a follow-up visit for a oral surgery, and so on. So there are hundreds of these cases. It has to build a questionnaire based on that. So that is a third element of it. Then the fourth element of it is after the thing happens, it has to do a basic diagnosis before it can send to the doctor. So to do that again, there is this it is going to use a variety of patterns in your responses. So it is going to, like, you have, like, you have been having this toothache for the last 10 days, and then you have the previous history of this thing, and your age is this thing. So based on these based on these factors, it has collected, it can like say that it could, like, 70% probability of this being a wisdom tooth trouble. So then the doctor will have this initial, diagnosis, and then all the data, like, use. The doctor says, okay, this is not the wisdom tooth issue, this is this issue. Then it gets fed back into the thing using the feedback loop. It is going to again alter its weights, so that next time it might be its prediction might be slightly different based on the learning that it has got from the doctor. So that's a healthcare about. Similar
Okay.
retail and events too. So four elements of it: computer vision, speech recognition, questionnaire preparation, and finally doing a simple diagnosis based on your responses.
Awesome. So, yeah, I have been reading the messages in the chat window, and a lot of people have expressed their admiration for you on Quora, and for Kiran also, regarding his YouTube lectures. And one person, Mayank, has asked that whether there are any internship opportunities at Invento. Okay, which I am pretty sure there are.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
you
we
may
have,
want
we have
to.
a bunch of internships, especially people who are doing something in related to what we do. It could be like, they could be strong mechanical engineers, or they could be, like, in computer vision, speech, in PCB design. So like, variety of core engineering fields that we have. And so if they have demonstrated something, the engineering expertise in one of these fields, then, like, we encourage them to apply.
Okay. And is there any specific speech recognition? Ankit has asked, is interested in speech recognition. Any-
So, like, I'm more specific towards speech recognition. So what's your opinion on that? So opinion on speech recognition, I don't understand the question.
Okay.
Uh,
I think he is asking, in general, like what are the other applications of speech recognition in other industries? That's what I.
so I mean, speech is like, this is one of the most explosive fields under AI right now. In fact, Amazon is putting a lot of resources for around this, like, Alexa, and then Google is putting a lot of emphasis. IBM is putting a lot of emphasis with Watson. Where all the big tech companies were all converging on a single technology as much as they are doing now. So all the big tech companies like, putting very heavy emphasis uh, on like, speech. So if you're
Okay.
working on technology, this is like the best time to be there, especially, like, like understanding Indian languages, and then building understanding specific jargons. So for a
Mm.
hospital scenario, we have to build a specific set of dictionary and grammar that'll be different from a retail, and that will again be different from, say, let's say, going to a event. So all of these will require different set of understanding, different set of dictionaries. And again, like, building for Indian languages, that's such a big thing it's going to be.
Okay, awesome. So there was one question from Vivek. Okay, you emphasize on making a startup in your early 20s. I stay in Mumbai without many friends who are interested in startup. So that's a good question. Like, how do we create an environment where a supportive environment doesn't exist? Is,
So that is in general hard in India. Like, so one way is, like, be regardless of whatever field you are going to be in, be along with people who are pursuing that field. Let's say you are, like, want to start a music band. So where do you want to be? Like, you want to be along with other people who perform music, and who are actually interested in, like, and then with complementary things. Let's say you're a guitarist, then you want people who are, drummers, the singers, and so on. So if you are a sales guy, then you want to be finding out like the developers and the product managers, designers, and so on. So the so you have to be at the right place. That is the first thing. You want to be with if you're starting a music band, you have to be with other musicians. If you want to be a part of a sports team, again you have to be people who are like playing that sport. Same thing if you are like wanting to be a part of the startup ecosystem, you have to get to that place where you are where a startup ecosystem happens. And like fortunately Mumbai has its own startup ecosystem. So you have to find like where people like talk about startups, like what kind of people gather. I mean, there are a lot of meetups and things going around. Majority of them are useless, but then there are like small subset of them, the meetups that are actually useful. So this is, you have to be constantly discovering that thing. So it's sort of like finding optimizing data. So you are trying to like find out that optimal solution that requires a lot of search. So you have to be you can do a depth first search or a breadth first search, so depending on like where you want to. So in this case, a depth first search would be you go to an event and then get insights from that, and then go to similar events, or you step back and then trying to like explore all kind of events around your area. So regardless of it, so you have to be doing this search on like where people like gather, what kind of conversations they have, and then you have to be a part of it. Yeah. And so that's the most important element of being a startup ecosystem. You cannot stay in your home and say I'm going to be a part of a startup ecosystem. You have to be getting out of your home, going to these events, meeting people, and then talking with them, and then assisting with their startups and so on. Eventually, like you build your own network, and you would have helped enough people, and then so that kind of networks over time, it will get denser and deeper. Then you can have your own startup around it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think nowadays a lot of people are aware of the startup ecosystem right in their college days, unlike some 10 years back. So that is a very good thing that is coming up nowadays. And what other skill set you would advise students in their final year college to have, apart from those that are taught in school? I mean,
I mean, like
apart from those that are taught in
almost
college.
almost none of what we are taught in college is relevant for a startup. So pretty much everything else has to be built for a startup kind of thing. So the first and most important thing is, in a startup there are only like handful of roles. So that's the most important difference between a startup and a large company. So in a large company, the roles will be very very specific. So yours will be on like managing the build in this way. So there will be a build engineer, and in even larger companies, like even the build engineering will be a group, and there will be like these this smaller subsets that will be that will be there. But in a smaller startup, like you will be the developer, you will be the tester, you will be the build engineer, you will be the deployment engineer, and so on. So that's the like in a startup there's a role compression happens. So a person will have to take 20-30 roles that will happen in a bigger company. So that means in a startup there is also like a need for being a sort of a semi specialist in multiple fields. So that's the first key thing for a startup, like being a semi specialist in multiple fields, whereas in a bigger company you can be a specialist in just one field, and you don't need to worry about other things. Then as a second thing in a startup is all about extremely aggressive speed. So how fast you do things is more important than how correctly you do things, because there is like you could be doing this in the most correct way with the least amount of bugs and so on, but then it doesn't matter if you ship your code like 1 year from now. So the company might be dead by then. So in a startup, it is less about the accuracy, more about the speed. So this is where like it's somewhat close to the competitive programming in that way. So it is about your speed that counts the most. So that's a second key skill set in a startup. And third skill set that like again like these are all not taught in schools at all. If you are an engineer, primarily you'll be developing things. So if you are averse to coding, then you have to be there are only three main roles in an early stage startup. So you can be a developer, you can be a designer, or you can be a master salesperson. Just three roles. So if you are an engineer and you don't want to develop code, then you have to be either a great designer or a great salesperson. Salesperson means you have to be getting out and then talking to as many people trying to sell things. So if you don't fit any of these three, then it is hard to fit in an early stage startup.
True. So there is one question from Manoj. What skills do I need to work with the Mitra team?
So again, the core of it is like we are looking at as the intellectual prowess, intellectual power. So that is, so we don't look at the degrees and the year and so on. But the core is the demonstrated ability of showing intelligence. So again, it could be a very smart project you could have done, and it could be any project, but it should show your intellectual capacity. So that's the most important thing for us. And the second thing is being a core engineer. So we are looking at core mechanical engineers and electronics engineers and so on. So people who have a love engineering and then want to do engineering. We don't want to have people who see engineering as like one more step before they go on to do something else. Engineering, it's a destination of its own. So that kind of passion and aggression for engineering, and again very aggressive timeline. So we do everyday things change over here, the aggressive things. And there are again specific skill sets I mentioned, like things like computer vision or and then speech. Those are very very important things for us.
Okay. Fine. Oh, fine. Anyone has any more questions? They can type in the chat window. So Vivek has asked one question, I think this has been answered elsewhere by Balaji. How do you learn so many things about a lot of different topics like history, economics? Okay, I think it has been answered elsewhere in Quora and also in one of the talk that is present already in YouTube. But if Balaji wants, he can give a brief about it.
I mean, same answer there.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, scope of geospatial and information system. Any thoughts about these things, Balaji? Geospatial and information system.
Yeah. So those things are also for instance, ISRO is going to put up 104 satellites in one go. And so of these 104 satellites, 88 satellites belong to a Californian company that is going to so they are going to put 88 satellites in one go, and that is primarily about collecting the geo data and mapping data much more with a higher resolution than almost anyone else has done. So there is going to be a lot more in the next in the next few months and years that is going to be done on this mapping, imaging, and done with a far more higher accuracy of hardware than we had in the past. So again, all these nano satellites, micro satellites, all of those things that are going to be coming up, all those is going to increase the amount of data availability, and that means there is going to be a lot of need for crunching all those things and getting insights out of it, knowing about the crop patterns or mineral availability, or the global warming and so on. So all this data, it's going to be much more crucial. And then now we have put the hardware also, enough hardware also in the skies to do the get that.
Awesome. Okay, fine, Balajit. As much as we would love to interact with you more, I know your time is also very, very precious. So we would wrap up the session maybe with one more question. Okay, and we are looking forward to have you soon in similar such sessions.
Awesome. Thanks, Arvind.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. See you. Yeah, thank you. Bye. Kiran, if you are there, we can take up more questions. There are few related to IAC entrance. You want to take it up?
Yeah. So the question is, yeah.
Yeah, first of
Vivek,
all, thanks for joining the session, Kiran.
yeah,
Welcome.
yeah, it's my pleasure. Yeah, initially they asked, I think, right?
Right. So, if you have questions to Kiran, please type in the chat window. Even if you asked earlier, just retype that again. So, Kiran, would you like to share your thoughts on what people must do after the GATE exam? Like, there are a lot of sentiments that many of them have not done it well. The paper was too easy or too tough.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, so actually, whatever may be the exam, so especially if it is GATE, then we know that only the first 500 or 300 people are going to get the good institutes, right? So if you really target IIT, then probably, so the fact is like only for first 300 or 200 people are going to get. But there are very 10,000 serious students who are appearing every year. But we should understand that only 200-300 people will get it. So, and GATE is not a final destination. See, you just love the path, right? You learned it. I mean, you are, everyone is, forgetting one fact. You worked hard for 1 year and, you got lot of knowledge that is going to, be used in your career later. Maybe that may not be working for your, this interviews and all. Maybe your rank may be bad, but still that knowledge is very important, I say. And really you want to, there are some hardcore fans of IITs, so they really want to get into IITs. Then for them I will tell you only one thing. Yeah, so if you get good rank, fine. If you don't get it, really you want to study in IIT, then why don't you try one more time? So why are you afraid of your failure? So really you want to achieve something, then perseverance is important. Try one more time. Maybe in the worst case attempt 3-4 times, like really you have, that is your lifetime achieve goal, then write until you die. That is what I will say. Otherwise, let's say your goal is something else, and why you want to go into IIT? Think about it. Maybe 80% of the time, getting a good knowledge, more knowledge, and good placements, right? If that is the case, you have lot of opportunities, right? So just try to focus on that opportunities, go for a job and improve your, competitive programming and everything. Then you can get definitely, R&D jobs. And sometimes, maybe try to identify the startups where you can improve your knowledge in coding and everything. Maybe you may not get good salaries for first 1-2 years, but your ultimate goal is long term development. Go for them, like work as an intern for a salary of 4,000, 5,000, doesn't matter if you have a good work over there. Okay, and see the long vision. And gate is only one of the opportunity you have in infinite. So if you lose that opportunity, then don't worry. You should be, you should understand that there are a lot of other opportunities. Still infinite minus one, I say. You should understand that. And really you're serious about studying in IIT, write it again. Otherwise, come from that path and explore the other opportunities. Okay. So that is what I would like to say. And one more thing, there are some people who gets like who are going to get a rank after, I mean, greater than 500,000. So still there are very good colleges other than IITs. Focus on them. Like one example such college is Triple IT Hyderabad. Triple IT Hyderabad has very good infrastructure and very good placements. Their placements are equal to IITs. But you don't really require a very good rank like 200, 100. So if you get 1,000 also, you might get their admission, and they have a separate entrance. You try to focus on such colleges, try to list out all such colleges and try to get admission if your rank is not very good. If your rank is good, then congratulations. And if your rank is very bad, even you are not getting into good colleges, but you want to go into that colleges, then you have ask yourself, do you have patience? Do you have really passion? Then go for next year and take a job which is which won't kill you a lot of time, and keep on continuing, right? So that is what I advise you people. But you have a good goal and you have a passion, so nothing to think, just continue. So don't count the number of attempts. I attempted for one time, two time, three. Really, it's your a real goal, then why the number of count doesn't matter, right? So that is what I would like to suggest now. Maybe in this upcoming days I will be taking a lot of sessions related to this, admission and all.
Okay, awesome. There is a question from because many people here speak only about programming and getting into jobs. Okay, but he is really interested in teaching.
Oh,
Okay, so I think that is something that we personally also are passionate about. So, what are your
correct.
thoughts? How to go into teaching field?
See, uh, see, if you want to go into teaching, that's I mean, so that's not very difficult thing. Like, so because if you have knowledge, then you can deliver, not a problem at any time. So really, you want to come into this teaching field and you want to really train GATE students. Let's say I'm assuming that. So if you want to really train GATE students, probably you just take one subject or two subjects which you are interesting subjects, and research on them. Like, so spend 1 year of time and solve a lot of textbook problems, everything, and get thorough with all the concepts and start teaching. That's it. It's very simple idea. So no one will stop. Like, so yes, create some YouTube lectures, otherwise go to some institutes and you can train, not a problem. So teaching is just uh, if you do 2-3 times, you can master. It's not like programming where you need a lot of expertise. So
Right. Yeah, and from a programming perspective, I would say that programming is easier than teaching because at least in programming you can work alone independently without any external interference. Whereas teaching, it requires a lot of human factors and
correct.
and it depends. Like
Yeah,
whatever is your interest, then you will become
correct.
strong in that. And there are
Right.
a few questions on how to get into IASC interview, like what are the discrete math books and algorithms to study,
Yeah.
probability, what kind of topics
Right.
to.
Right. So, especially for interviews, they check your fundamentals, like how strong you are, how good your reasoning. Like, that's why in discrete mathematics, I suggest you to read that, first order logic, proposition logic, and the Rosen is sufficient. Like, so whatever you have studied for already gate, then you just say revise it. And there is especially, combinatorics, and I can say some graph theory, introduction to graph theory. You focus, I mean, especially for gate, you don't study graph theory in a good way. So you just remember the formulas. But there is in especially in discrete mathematics, there is one concept called proving, right? So whenever some basic statement is given, you have to prove it with small, I mean, I can say with easy words. So that kind of proving techniques you should learn, because in interviews they are going to ask such kind of questions. The question statement will be obvious, but they ask you to prove it. So try to learn such things, like, so they will be helpful for you in interview, especially like example. So that in a graph, if you take a graph, simple graph, there exist at least two vertices of same degree, right? So such kind of questions they ask, and they ask you to prove it. They ask what is the reason for that, and they ask so many such questions, and they ask reasons and reasons for that. So start studying again discrete maths in with this perspective, like proof.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And there are many students who are passionate about computer science. Okay, the logic behind it, the thinking.
Right.
Okay, they are also passionate in other areas like AI, machine learning. But as such, they are not much into coding. So, how is the future for them? Is it only the people who can code have a bright career ahead, or even without coding, it is possible to make a mark in the industry.
Right. Definitely, really you are not a good coder, then still there are you know that, right, Arvind? Like there are a lot of jobs for them, maybe in very good companies like Microsoft everywhere. So they have some percentage of jobs where you require your intellectual knowledge rather than coding, right? You choose such kind of jobs. Example, maybe your analysis important sometimes not coding. Example, let's say my wife works for Microsoft and she never code. Like most of the time she use her analysis thing, like so she analyzes lot of data, so she never code. So still that's why, so I can say still in Microsoft also you have opportunities without coding. So
Right, right. So there is this lot of movement around code, like everyone must learn to code. That has been propagated by many people, including Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. But I
right,
think the most fundamental idea is like how to get that thinking skills as compared to the coding skills. So that's
correct,
what they emphasize more. So similar to
right,
reading, writing, arithmetic. Now the fundamental skills is how to think like a coder. That is what it's
right,
required, not as per se the coding abilities, but the
correct,
logical abilities that are needed.
right.
Yes, yes. And Kiran sir, is dropping one or two year gate affect our career or not? That is one question.
No, absolutely no. So the number of year doesn't matter, but if it shows, then I mean, if you show that, like in your interviews, when you ultimately, I know that when you go for a job interview at that time, so it shows, like sometimes, let's say if you don't answer their questions, then definitely it matters. Like then they think that because of this gap you are not able to answer. Otherwise, if you are answering well, like others, then that doesn't matter. Even they don't recognize that.
Right.
Correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Jatin has asked, are they going to ask questions in every subject? Okay, but I think when they will ask you to ask your choice of two, three subject, and then
Right.
they will have the interview panel from your
Correct.
choice. Yes.
Correct. Correct. So mostly, like sometimes that's there will be some randomness, like it depends on the faculty too. So but most of the times, I mean, so they ask questions from TOC, and they ask mostly theory, right? Like TOC and probably discrete maths and data structures algorithms, they focus, I think. But
Right.
sometimes I have seen some of the people said that the questions are from computer organization and compilers. So
Hmm.
but it's
Ah,
rare, I can say.
right. I think most of the time, 90% of the questions would be from the choices you have put.
Yeah.
Right. And
Correct.
but IAC professors are favor asking some theory questions, especially in
Absolutely.
mathematics, probability, and also irrespective
Correct.
of your subject choice, it is better to prepare in basic math field.
Correct.
Any more questions? You can type in the chat window. So again, there are questions on this year's GATE exam. It was not good.
Okay.
Uh, okay. I think you don't have to worry too much about it. Okay, let's wait for the result and see. Then we can take a decision. Apart from the top IIT, IAC, there are other colleges also in that Triple IT Hyderabad, Triple IT Bangalore is very good in machine learning, data science, and there are a few people in our group itself, like Ashutosh, who is a master's in machine learning from Triple IT Bangalore. So I think there are a lot of opportunities available. What are your thoughts, Kiran? Apart for people who miss the top few colleges, what other options we can?
Yeah. So yeah. So other than IITs, there are some good colleges you can join. Yeah. So if you don't get in your dream college, then definitely it would be better trying for other opportunities, like going for a job. So end of the day, finally, everyone wants to do some work in these companies, right? Otherwise, you want to make a new startup. So If really that's fine. So what is your ultimate goal? Like, so why, there are a lot of good placements in after coming from the IITs. The only reason is so they hope that, your knowledge is good, right? So somehow they are branding your knowledge. They are understanding that you have a good knowledge, right? Without completely exhaustively checking you. But if you don't have a good brand generally, so then you have to prove yourself. That's it. That is the only difference. Whenever a person comes from IITs, then blindly, by asking some, some questions, finally they select you and they give good package because already, he has been proved. But let's say you don't complete your MTech or BTech from IITs or in any branded college, then they don't have any guarantee that you perform because they don't know. Then they have to rigorously check you, right? So generally, most of the time, these companies avoid that and they go for these IITs to hire. And let's say you are not from IIT, otherwise not from any branded college, then you are like anonymous. Then you have to somehow prove it. Finally, you have to prove yourself that you are a good candidate, right? So try to focus on that. Let's say if you don't get into good college, but still you want to prove yourself and you want to get a good company and anything, then understand what we want, right? Example, let's say you want to go into Microsoft or anything, still there is a chance, right? First you join a company which hires you, then you can try for a transition. At that time they ask again, these data structures, algorithms questions and some aptitude questions and master it, right? Finally, one day you have to prove yourself. That's it.
Right, absolutely. So the similar situation applies for startups also. There is a fact that the people who are companies that are founded by IIT graduates get funding faster. Okay,
Correct.
so it's nothing against IITs. Okay, but
Yes.
if you are from a different college, you just need to work harder and prove yourself to get that funding. So a similar situation applies for job also. It's just
Correct.
the branding, right?
Right.
If it is not coming, then you just need to work harder and prove it. Okay.
Yeah.
There is one question on how to guide for the triple IT exam. So I think there is a member called Rajesh Pandey in our group. You can ask him, Vivek. Okay,
Yeah.
I do not know about triple IT Hyderabad exam format. You can check with him. Okay. And Chandan has asked how to start with competitive programming. Okay, things like Hacker Rank and Hacker Earth are a bit intimidating. Okay, I personally don't suggest people to get into competitive programming unless they are very much passionate about it. Okay, if you are feeling intimidated by that, it is okay. You can instead go to other places like Geeks for Geeks, Career Cup, okay, where they give actual interview questions from companies, and you can train on those questions instead of trying to solve toy programming questions that are generally asked in these competitive programming sites. Okay. And there is a question on how to handle family pressure. This is always going to be there. Like your family, you have to convince them of your abilities. Okay, how the issue with the Indian parents is like however old you are, like they always think that you are still immature, young to handle all the responsibilities in life. So you have to tell them in the past your achievements. You can tell about that, and you can tell that if I am given a time of 1 year, though this is a loss in the short term, but in the long term this is going to help me and our family in the long term. So that way you can convince your parents. Okay. And there is one question on IAC Calcutta MTech exam. Again, I don't have any info on that, but we will find somebody who can get that info. So, Kiran, any other thoughts, Kiran? You want to add anything on any of
So
these?
yeah, that's it. That's it, Arvind.
Okay. Fine, then awesome. Thank you for joining the session, Kiran. It was
Yeah,
wonderful,
thank you.
as usual, to speak with you.
Thank you, Arvind.
Uh, thank you. Fine,
Bye.
then we will end the
Hello.
session. See you. Yeah, Mohit.
Sir, can I ask you, sir, please don't mind. Uh,
Yeah, tell me.
okay. Sir, actually, my situation is like I have joined, Accenture gave me joining date of 20th Feb this year,
Okay.
and I don't want to go for it. I prepared for
Okay.
gate like very much, but this year paper was not for the ones who prepared well. So right now I am in dilemma what to do. Like, should I
Okay.
go for Accenture and then prepare for again, then prepare again 1 year for GATE again, or should I uh, prepare 1 year in my home?
So,
Okay. So
yeah, Arvind, I'll answer.
I'll just give a brief potato. It is very difficult to prepare for a gate along with a job. Okay. However, it depends on the individual circumstances. I would let Kiran to elaborate
Yeah.
further.
Yeah, first of all, Mohit, just wait for the result and try to see the number, like what is your rank. Example, let's say you are satisfied with your rank, like your rank is like below 2000 or 1000, then definitely you need only little bit improvement, right? So to get into top 100, probably you require a less hard work. Then you can go for a job, and Saturday Sundays you work on these gate questions and all, and improve your knowledge. And probably because maybe before exam, maybe 2-3 months before, you can completely uh, I mean resign your job and dedicate entire that 2 months of time in the remaining preparation. So otherwise what happens, second thing, like let's say you don't know lot of details, like so you have to prepare from scratch, and you need lot of time. It ask yourself, so your brain will answer that. If you need lot of time for preparation, then you quit job, you don't go for job and continue the preparation. It's all up to you, right? Can you balance it or not? If you can balance, then you can go for it, and it depends on your rank. So that rank will tell you everything. If you get into 2000, then continue with the job, and rather than quitting immediately, rather than not taking the job, continue that job for 6 months. That gives you some financial stability and some confidence about you, and then after that you can remaining 6 months or 3 months of time you can prepare for gate without job, right? So that would be the good idea.
Yes. Awesome. That's a good idea, Kiran. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you must wait for the result to come, and then you can take a call. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Kiran. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank
everybody.
you.
We will
Yeah,
meet you soon. Okay. Thank you.
sure.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye, students.
Well, I've been sitting here all day, I've been sitting in this waiting room, and I've been waiting on my friends, yes, I'm waiting on this conference call, all alone, and I'm on hold. Well, yes, I'm on hold. I hope it's not all day. Hey! Well, I wonder where they are, yes, I wonder where my friends have gone. Where'd they go? Tell me, where could they be while I'm waiting on this conference call? I don't know. Well, I'm holding on my phone, yes, I'm holding on the line. Hey! Well, I don't know where they are, I don't know why I'm still alone. I'm on hold. Oh yes, I'm on hold. I hope it's not all day. Hey! Well,
This call is being recorded.
So we worry a lot about, like, this less necessary things. So in my class, if I look at the guys who didn't get the placements or in the top, they're not at the top at the time of graduation. Those are the guys who are actually now leading much better enterprises. They are earning a lot more in, like, in the Valley, in New York and those places. So like, we see these, smaller battles as such a big thing, but the thing is, it's all about how you, like, patiently build your innings. And so that's what that's the most important difference I see between the very very smart guys and actually the people who really succeed. And so do not let, like, a single thing, like, whether it could be a single exam or it could be a single, like, placement interview, and all those things are really, like, distract you from your bigger thing. So keep your attention on the bigger pursuit. The bigger pursuit you should be after is, how can I change something in the industry? How can I change something with the technology? How can I, like, change the way people use technology, or how can I change the way people access a particular technology? So that should be your fundamental goal. So all these are gate, like whether you succeed or not succeed, it doesn't matter.
This call is being recorded.
So we worry a lot about this less necessary things. So in my class, if I look at the guys who didn't get the placements or in the top, they're not at the top at the time of graduation. Those are the guys who are actually now leading much better enterprises. They are earning a lot more in in the valley, in New York and those places. So we see these smaller battles as such a big thing, but the thing is, it's all about how you patiently build your innings. And so that's what that's the most important difference I see between the very smart guys and actually the people who really succeed. And so do not let a single thing whether it could be a single exam or it could be a single placement interview, and all those things are really
This
change
call is being recorded.
So we worry a lot about this less necessary things. So in my class, if I look at the guys who didn't get the placements or in the top, they're not at the top at the time of graduation. Those are the guys who are actually now leading much better enterprises. They are earning a lot more in in the valley, in New York and